Hello class and welcome back. Today's subject matter will be HOLO TACO's Dark Academia collection. HOLO TACO was gracious enough to donate the collection for our class specifically. And with that, let's begin class. First on the attendance list we have Headhunter, and this is a dark green opaque creme polish. This has kind of a blue undertone in it, and holy smokes, the opacity for this is crazy. It was almost a one coater for me if it weren't for the tips showing a little bit of light patchiness in there, but in the end I only needed 2 coats and then I had full opacity. Overall, I feel like the creme formula for this collection is less thick like the previous creme polishes that HOLO TACO has released. I don't know if maybe they're playing around some more with her formula or what, but for some reason I found this formula more manageable. And then here it is, matte and glossy. Next on the attendance list, we have Foreshadow, and Foreshadow is a warm leaning gray opaque creme. It almost gives concrete mix powder vibes to it. I also noticed upon the first swatch that it looked slightly different than what I see in the bottle. Could be color theory because the bottle is clear and it's just condensed within itself, and me being a person of color, you know, I don't know color theory that well, but someone in the comments might. And this one was also close to being a one coater for me, but around my tips I have some very unevenness in my nails, so I'm wondering if that could be the reason why. But I just needed 2 coats to get full opacity, and again, formula super easy to work with, didn't have any issues really. And then here it is with glossy and matte top coat. Next for roll call we have Ivory Tower, and this is a warm off-white ivory cream polish. I've been waiting for HOLO TACO to release a color like this. We finally have it. It is in the whites family, so I knew from the start that I was going to need more than 2 coats. And then something else I noticed with ivory color is that it looked cooler on my nail than it did in the bottle. In the bottle it looks a little bit more warm leaning, just as the brand described it. Also, I'm gonna need you to ignore the lint that got trapped in this coat. In real life, they are slightly different, where Ivory Tower is more warm and it's cooler on my skin. I might have just needed to lower the exposure or whatever on my camera because, baby, this color looks so much whiter on camera than it does in person. Although it's hard to see here, I do have this in matte and glossy. The top is matte, the bottom is glossy. Moving on to Devil's Advocate, and this is a quote-unquote blackened oxblood Crelly polish. And a Crelly polish is a buildable formula, but it's in between a jelly polish and a creme polish. And then, not sure what blackened means. I can only assume that it's because as more coats get applied, this polish almost looks black in a sense, and I think you'll see it when I do my 3rd coat, because this polish did need a 3rd coat for me. I had some patchiness showing up, some lighter areas going on. So like I've said with some jelly polishes in the Island Pea swatching video, for jelly polishes, how you start leads to how it ends. Meaning if my first coat is patchy, I kind of have to work a little bit more to create that full opaque look. And this is possible with this polish because it is a buildable formula. It's not like a jelly formula where a jelly, regardless, I think you would have to do an insane number of coats for a jelly polish to give you full opacity, like not seeing anything kind of thing. So keep that in mind. And of course, I love Devil's Advocate. I love the super, super, super dark red. And maybe if I can apply a smoothing base coat, maybe 2 coats would be better off versus 3 coats, and that way I can see the little red tint more. Now that we've graduated from our undergrad, it's time to move to a graduate school. So first up we have Inkwell. Inkwell is a black base with warm micro gold shimmers, and HOLO TACO also describes this as a blackened sepia bronze micro shimmer. Overall on the bottle it looked very dark bronze. I didn't see a dark base or black base until I swatched it. A little patchy on the first coat, specifically on the right side. I don't know what happened there. And then on the tip as well. But a second coat covered it up real nice. I really enjoy this shade. The shimmers is giving that glow from within kind of vibe. And with that, it gives it more of a dimensional feel and look to it. Formula for this was also easy to work with because it was micro shimmers. And then here it is, matte and glossy. Next in our grad bundle, we have Silent Library. Silent Library is a muted blue frosted metal with silver flakes. It has been done cold shoulder, has been replaced with silent library. It's not exactly like cold shoulder from my understanding. I think cold shoulder was a lighter blue and then it oxidized itself into a very pale muddy blue. Unsure of the lore, I've just remember seeing a lot of like Facebook posts, Reddit posts and whatnot. And then here's the first coat on a swatch stick just for you to see the base color of this polish. First coat was very patchy, maybe because of the flakes, it kind of like threw me off my groove a little bit. And then second coat would have been enough for me, but I did a third coat just to get that little patchy area on the tip of my nail. I think if I was just trying to wear it out on my own and not showcase it in a video format of any sorts, I would have kept that 2 coats in only. So with the silver flakes, there is texture on the polish, meaning you do need to put a top coat. If you're not putting a top coat on your base polish, what are you doing? Like what? And then here it is, matte and glossy. Next up we have Secret Society. Secret Society is a murky, muted gray, grayish, whatever you want to call it, with some gold, bronzy micro shimmers and scattered holographic pigment in here. On the first coat / application, this is a very light formula and a little bit more sheer than the previous polishes we've swatched so far. And because of the micro shimmer it has, it gives it more of a green tint to this grayish base color that it has. And then second coat did a good job at covering up the major patchiness, but overall I did go in with the third coat because even with the second coat, there were some lighter shaded areas and wanted to make sure we had full opacity here. You can see that the micro shimmer transitions to green in very extreme angles. That's really what's giving this shade kind of like a green tint to it. And then I'm pretty sure that the formula for this one is very similar or the exact same one as HOLO TACO's Alien Infatuation. It has that little shimmer effect as well as scattered hollow, but I'll compare here in the end. And then here it is, glossy and matte. Ivy League is a dark green jelly base with green shimmers. HOLO TACO also calls this a blackened shade, and again, because we build it up, it's almost close to a black base. And bitch, when I put that first coat on, I was flabbergasted, head empty. Needless to say, it had me feeling some type of way. The first coat really shows that dark green jelly base, and then first coat, patchiness, so we're going in with a second coat. The more and more I stare at this polish, the more I think of the Matrix. If we look at the micro shimmers as like the weird codex or characters, it's giving that. It's giving Matrix, okay? Absolutely stunning polish. I love it. Spectacular. Give me 14 of them, please. In different colors. Oh my god. A red one? A blue one? Yes. And then I really wanted to show you all how these polishes look in the sun. On my left hand, I have the undergrad bundle, which consists of Double Advocate, Ivory Tower, Foreshadowed, and Headhunter. Headhunter is on my thumb as well. And then on my right, I had the graduate bundle, and I had Ivy League and my pointer, Silent Library on my middle, Secret Society on my ring, and my pinky and thumb had Inkwell. Here are the comparisons. For Headhunter, we have, from left to right, Lost in the Woods from HOLO TACO. I'm gonna butcher this. Apatosaurus from Dimension Nails. And then we have Headhunter in the middle. Next to that, we have Bring Me the Teal from HOLO TACO. And Monstera from HOLO TACO, which is discontinued. So nothing similar here to that. At first I thought Monstera might be super duper close, but wow, is Monstera so much brighter than Headhunter. Headhunter is just that really, really deep dark green. And then for Foreshadow, I am shocked at the lack of grays in my collection. I only had one comparison and it was HOLO TACO's Duct Tape Gray, and it's nothing at all similar to it. Duct Tape Gray is very cool tone, and then here, Foreshadowed looks that warm toned gray color. Ivory Tower was another one that I didn't have anything like that, so from left to right, I have HOLO TACO's Butter Me Up, and then we have in the middle, Ivory Tower, and next to that, we have Joey from Dimension Nails. Joey was the closest one that I could have here, but Joey's much more pink leaning, and then Butter Me Up is much more yellow leaning. So Ivory, it's really kind of that in between, best of both Joey and Butter Me Up in a sense. For Devil's Advocate, the one that was super duper omega close to it was Mooncat's Queen of the Dead, but only in its cold state. So from left to right, we have Mooncat's Queen of the Dead. Next to Queen of the Dead, we have Devil's Advocate. Next to that, we have HOLO TACO's I'm Over Brew. And lastly, we have Eco Created Colors Wine Time. So again, this is a very dark polish. It does deepen itself to almost look borderline black. Moving right along to Inkwell. This is another one that I had a hard time trying to find something similar to it. What I could come up with is Mooncat's Like a Moth to a Flame. This one is a little bit more gray based and red shimmers. And then in the middle, we have Inkwell. And next to that, we have HOLO TACO's Choco Hollow, which I think is discontinued. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, I don't have anything at all similar to Inkwell. It's very unique to me and my collection. And continuing the theme of this collection being unique to me, we have Silent Library. And the only one that I could think of was HOLO TACO's Overshadowed. I don't have Cold Shoulder to be able to compare it to. I never owned it. Then we have Secret Society. And hey, guess what? I don't have anything like it either. The closest I could come up with was Island P's Countryside, which just recently released, and then HOLO TACO's Alien Infatuation, which is the same formula, I believe. It's just different shade, you know? So yeah, again, I don't have anything better to compare it to. I'm sorry, y'all. And lastly, we have Ivy League, and for comparisons, on the left, I have Orly's Smoked Out, which I don't even know if it's still in the market. I had this polish for many years. This is probably the oldest polish in my collection. I think I stole it from my mom. But Orly is more of a blue base, and it has more teal shimmer than Ivy League does. And then Ivy League is in the middle. Next to that, we have Island P Salem. And Salem is kind of like a iridescent micro shimmer, so it changes color. But the green shimmer is very strong. But this green is much brighter than Ivy League. And so that concludes today's class and a little debrief on what we talked about today. First and foremost, I have a bias. I absolutely love this type of color palette. I love fall. I love the dark aesthetics. I love the dark colors. So in conclusion, I love this collection. I was very surprised by the creme polishes. The opacity that they delivered was very much shocking. I know in the past I've kind of struggled with creme polishes, but I think I've discovered a method. Someone in the previous swatching video mentioned that I should do floating, and that's what I did for all of these polishes, and it did make applying the polish much easier, and I didn't apply as much pressure on the nail, causing it to be very streaky. But I also didn't change the way that I loaded my brush. I did everything as usual. The only difference was the way I put the polish on my nail. One thing I do wish that wasn't a 3-coater was a Devil's Advocate. I think applying just 2 coats is enough to where you can see the blackened aspect of it, but also the deep dark red that lies within. However, a 3rd coat really deviates from that and makes it look more black, and the only glimpse of red that you get is either in sunlight or on the edges of the nail where you kind of see that little tint. And then can we talk about how many greens are in this collection? HOLO TACO gave us 3 greens. We have Headhunter, we have Ivy League, and then I know it's not technically a green and more considered a grayish, but it does have green shimmers. So I'm counting it as a green, and we're talking about Secret Society. I mentioned this before, but I personally would love to see more color variations in the same formula as Ivy League. I think the blackened formula of it, but still having that green shimmer to indicate what the main color is, absolutely beautiful. With this collection being very micro shimmer heavy, the one that was really sticking out in terms of different formula from the crèmes is Silent Library. This is a frosted metal versus, having any form of micro shimmer. It's welcomed in the collection, don't get me wrong, but I just want to preface by saying this, that when lining up the polishes, it is the one that sticks out, with exception to Ivy Tower, which is of course the most different of them all. It's very bright and in your face, and everything else is more like dark and hidden in the background kind of thing. Overall, I think this is a great collection for the start of fall, especially for HOLO TACO's first fall collection of the year. I can't wait to see how much more or what they give us later on in the fall season leading into winter. So very much looking forward to those releases. In conclusion, don't forget to give me a summary of what you enjoyed in the subject matter and which ones you're planning on actually reaching out and grabbing for your own. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!